Come on, Facebook.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have vowed to take away your Second Amendment rights through gun bans, gun confiscation, and government regulations. Now, Joe Biden is no longer hiding his real intentions, and we need you to take action now.
Whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. But
the Biden administration is coming after your right to own any gun. Joe Biden has already issued executive orders.
Hey, and welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, Mike Piwowarski from The Rundown. Mike, how's it going today, man?
It's going pretty good today, Paul. How are things going up there in the beautiful Great White North? Here you got some weather heading your way.
Yeah, it may be the Great White North after tonight. We're supposed to be getting some snow showers. I actually just took my motorcycle from my house to winter storage about an hour and a half ago. It's only a mile and a half, but it was a they say a brisk morning. Well, this was a very brisk afternoon. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's certainly not Second Amendment related. Other than I was armed when I did it. Let's
there you go.
Let's get to news stories. I want to bring up this one to start with. Make sure I got the right one.
Before we do start, Paul, I
Yep.
do want to say Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there. I got my Veterans Day hat on.
Oh yes, sir.
For everyone, all my fellow veterans saying hi, and then I'm going to take it off because I know it's bad TV to wear a hat on the TV. So
all right,
so
I would
Happy
have
Veterans
mine
Day to all
on,
my
but
fellow veterans.
yeah, it's I should put one on. I can't do anything with my hair. It just anyway.
You don't want to ruin that.
By the way, I want to mention happy birthday today to Tom Gresham. Mr. Gresham, of course, the father of all Second Amendment talkers. He is the one that did it first, and has got the biggest impact. So happy birthday, Tom Gresham. He turned 70 years young today.
No, that's amazing. We see him every year. Every time we go, all the events together, and never would have guessed 70. That's amazing. Good for him.
Absolutely. Let's get started on the news then. Let's go ahead and put this one up. First story we have for today, CitiGroup prepared to back off anti-Second Amendment stance. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, that Texas has said, okay, if you're going to be having all these anti-Second Amendment policies for your business, you're not going to be allowed to sell bonds to cities in Texas. And all of a sudden, Citibank decided, hey, man, that's going to hurt our bottom line. We might want to rethink that.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, I believe this was originally put out to the three banks in Texas that were restricting Second Amendment, sales and rights. It was, and we had Citibank. I think we had Chase and Bank of America, if I recall, were the other two. If I'm wrong, I apologize to those banks. But I know Bank of America definitely was doing it. So, after this came out, Paul, it's probably 3-4 weeks ago that Citi came back and said, well, we want to do business with you. We don't restrict Second Amendment business. And I guess Texas, rather than taking them at their word, did their little bit of research and said, oh, really? Well, because we found this and this and this that you're doing. Now, you may be up there sitting at the Citibank world headquarters and not know this, but you've got this going on in your regions, because it definitely was your policy under Operation Choke Point during Obama. Now, whether you still have some of that residual going on or not and you're not aware of, it is going on. So they put that back to Citibank, and Citibank has now come back and said, that's done. We're not doing that anymore. Thank you, Texas, for getting us straightened out. We are here to say well, maybe they didn't say we agree with the Second Amendment, but we say we don't disagree with it anymore.
Right. The quote from the president of Citibank We elected not to engage in any primary market underwriting activity with public sector clients in Texas temporarily while we were working through the certification project process, which included submitting a standing letter to the Office of the Attorney General. And then, having made the certifications required by the new law, we are now prepared to resume serving issuer clients in Texas. And this, I am absolutely, I am for freedom in all forms. I'm for freedom in, if you're a business and you don't want to do business with gun companies, more power to you. Great. However, keep in mind that if you do that publicly, then all of a sudden people who are pro-gun are going to say we're going to want to put our business elsewhere, and that's something that Citibank is learning.
Yeah, I guess maybe they felt a little bit of the go woke, get broke kind of thing, and they've come back around for it. Like I said, this is not the first time, Paul. We know this reared its ugly head under Obama with Operation Choke Point, which their administration urged banks to not deal with, let's call it morality issues, right? It was gambling, pornography, alcohol, tobacco, and guns. Because clearly guns being a Second Amendment right are a morality issue. Clearly, we know that happened. We saw the evidence. We saw Chris Schwainart, Gun Stuff TV, show this, exposed it. John Lott exposed it. We saw all of this happen, and it's nice to see it come back around. I know Bank of America, I know Chase, they're still part of it. So let's see if they get the chance to get woke and go broke. Maybe they'll learn a lesson from Citibank here. Absolutely.
Let's get this comment in here. We didn't have this up on the news rundown, but this happens from time to time. We've actually talked about this in previous days on the shows. Spartan 6 says, by the way, Remington is moving to LaGrange, Georgia. They're moving their headquarters there and creating 800 plus jobs there. That's really New York. What comes to mind is the Beverly Hillbillies theme. New York ain't the place you ought to be.
Yep.
So the writing's been on the wall. New York has been pushing them out for years, and Remington finally said, "Okay, see you. We're out of here."
Yeah, Remington recently had some hard times. They had a little bit of restructure and reorganization going on there, back on their feet. And I think the best thing they could do for that company is get away from a place that taxes you 51% of everything you make and get to a gun-friendly state, a tax-friendly business state like Georgia, and they get to come down here and prosper. Georgia's going to help them out with the move. Georgia's going to help them find locations, going to help them find employees. This is just a win-win for Remington, for the Second Amendment, and for Georgia. And who loses out here again, Paul? Well, not only the people of New York State, but all of us. Because we know once New York loses that budget shortfall money again, they'll just reach out to Papa Joe and get that money from the feds, which means it's still going to come out of your pocket and my pocket, Paul, even though it's New York's fault.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be the greedy millionaires who own businesses and what that's going to mean, and the evil corporations, which means those businesses and corporations are going to have to raise prices for the average Joe. So the average Joe is going to end up paying not only higher taxes but inflationary prices.
Yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
All right, let's see. This one, I wish I could say this is surprising. It's not. Let me get this one up. Biden maneuvering towards a backdoor way to maintain a federal database of gun owners. This is coming off TampaFP.com. And this basically what they're doing is the Biden administration, whenever an FFL goes out of business, they are keeping and my understanding is making a database out of all the Form 4473 records that FFL had. So if you're going to be buying a gun, buy it from somebody who's been in business and is probably going to stay in business for a while. Or if you live in a free state like South Dakota, buy it from your neighbor.
Yeah. Paul, this story, you spent a couple minutes, but you hear on this one. This is not as bad as it seems and worse than it seems at the same time, and I wanted to explain.
Okay, so why is it not as bad as it seems?
Not as bad because when the ATF has a business that goes out of records, a federal firearms licensee that goes out of records, they get these files, just come in cardboard boxes. They come, in Tupperware boxes. They come tied up. They come basically very disorganized. And most FFLs will send them to ATF that way to help hinder the process of them being organized so they could be used as a database. So what you have is paper documents being stored in a non-environmentally sound or environmental proof warehouse. These things go in, and I want you to imagine, remember at the end of Indiana Jones, the kind of warehouse they had where they hid the Lost Ark? It's that kind of warehouse. They're put in there. The FFL number is put on the outside, and that's it. There's no organization to these. These have been piling up, and I've seen the pictures of this warehouse where these things are piling up. They're falling out of boxes. They're being rat-eaten. They're being destroyed. They're withering away. These are really, really horrible. The ATF has tried since Obama's years, because he was the one with Joe Biden that came up with this plan. They started to try to organize this. They are nowhere close, Paul. They're less than 5% into it. It is nowhere close. And if you needed to do a trace on these guns, it would probably take the dealer 24 hours to do so. But if you ask the ATF now to go back to those abandoned records, it's probably never ever going to get completed, which is how disorganized these records are. That's literally truck after truck. And a lot of businesses go out of business, Paul, just for regular reasons. People, retire. The economy is just not the same.
Sure.
So this happens, all the time. But there is warehouse full of unorganized documents, and you got interns back there trying to scan them in and make out heads or tails of them. Plus, the OCR recognition on the older forms is horrible. Many of the forms were yellow back in the day too, right? Guess what? Those don't do real well. They don't scan real well. You ever try and scan a highlighted document? The highlights don't come in. Guess what happens when you scan a yellow document? It doesn't scan.
Sure.
The worst part, so that's the good part, not to really worry about that. Here's the worst part, and ATF's been doing this for about 8-10 years now. When the ATF shows up, and they're supposed to do an inspection at your license every year, they're so far behind, you're lucky if they come every 5 years, all right? But what they do is they come in and they do hey, we're here to help. We need to check your records. By the way, I can't sit here all day long. I've got so many other things to do. I need the digital copy of all of your acquisition and disposition logs. So rather than sit here and go through every Form 4473, I'm going to go through your acquisition and disposition log. Okay, my records are here. Would you like to take them with you? Would you like to make copies of them? No. I need a digital copy of them. And ATF will not allow you to complete your inspection until you give them a digital copy of their acquisition and disposition logs. So what they're getting from you, Paul, is everything that you have that's active in the past 20 years on a thumb drive, on a CD, whatever it happens to be,
which can then be copied, and then that is easy to merge into a database.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what's going on, and that's the scary part, because they don't have them printed out. They're putting them on some server somewhere. Who knows where that is, because they're not getting rid of those records. Because guess what?
Hopefully it's Hillary's bathroom.
Correct. Because guess what they have to do? As investigators, they have to keep copies of those records in case there's ever an audit that says the investigator was wrong. So they never get rid of it because it's an investigative file. They have copies of every active FFL on digits. The only way that this doesn't happen is if you go into an old school mom and pop shop and they say, "We do it all right here, sir, pen and paper. If you'd like to make a copy," the copy machines at your office. Feel free to take the boxes and bring them back and put them in order. And that's less than 10% of the FFLs out there now. Everybody else has gone to keeping them on digits locally. And now also, Paul, FFL is allowed to keep their digital records on the cloud. So it can be a central server. And guess who has access to all of that?
Yeah.
ATF.
Now, I would say there would be a summit. Look, I don't know how you run a business today without computers. I don't know how you maintain profitability.
Yep.
But yeah, that is absolutely scary that the ATF can just come in and do that. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see.
Yep.
Here.
And if you fail to comply with their annual audit, then you're out of business. They take your FFL away from you.
Yeah.
You cannot argue about them getting a digital copy. Listen, for the most part, the inspectors down on the local levels, these are good people. These are not the policy makers. Does it make their job easier to have the ability to go back and do that at their office instead of sitting at some card table in the back of your warehouse? Sure, it does. But you know what? My job's also not to make their job easier. My job is to sell firearms and ensure the Second Amendment rights are not violated of citizens.
Absolutely. I'm going to get two comments in here from Warsaw Patriot, and to bring you up to speed, Mike, we had a conversation yesterday, and by the way, there was not a Daily Bullet yesterday. I'm sorry, I was having internet issues. Mike, Tuesday, Craig and I had a conversation about leaving non-free states, leaving New Jersey, New York, right, California, things like that. And Warsaw Patriot had long comments that were kind of spread out, and I couldn't get them all in. And I asked him to email. He said, and he just now kind of, forgive me, I'm at work, I've been busy, I haven't emailed you, but I've been meaning to tell you, moving, yes, does solve companies' problems like Remington. However, at the same time, moving only gives the left what they want, and also we the people are being attacked by the anti-gun left on the U.S. map by two fronts, the east and the west, from New York to California. It's Warsaw Patriot, there are leftists all throughout the United States. They're more heavily concentrated in places like Manhattan, in places like San Francisco, but they're all over the place. There are some in South Dakota. God help us, but they're here.
Yeah.
The winters haven't driven them off yet. But I mean, yeah, how do I put this? I don't, and I will not blame Remington for moving away from New York. Especially on a company level, you've got to go where you can maintain a profit. If you're not profiting, you're dying. There's no two ways about it. And so they've got a responsibility to their shareholders. It's called a fiduciary responsibility, if I remember right. They have to make money. So yeah, the decision actually just came down to numbers on a sheet eventually.
Yeah, listen, it's the right thing to do. You're not, like you just said, Paul, you're not taking care of one family. You're taking care of 800 families, right? You're taking care of all your investors, all your stockholders. And as much as I don't want to see the community where Remington is New York fail, that's on New York's shoulders, not on Remington's. Okay? Yes. New York has had every opportunity to make things better for Remington and every other company that's there in the state. And this is what happens when you continually kick the dog. At some point, the dog bites you and runs away. All right? Well, now it's going down to Georgia where they love bitey-bite dogs,
Yeah. They name their college football teams after them every once in a while.
That's right. Exactly right, yeah.
Let's see here. Warsaw Patriot just made another comment. He said, if it's financial, yes, I won't blame them. And yeah, it was partially political, but the political is also, let's face it, politics I believe in freedom because freedom, A is freedom, but freedom makes the most financial sense as well. Uh, um, Charlie Chambers says, building value or you shrink and die. Business 101.
That's exactly right.
And John Baker over on the YouTube side says, greetings from the free state of Mississippi. You know, Mike, we got another story we're going to get to here in just a second, but more and more, I think overall we're winning. We talk about somewhere between 3 and 5 stories a day here on the Daily Bullet, and more these are becoming positive stories where we are winning, and it's not just in South Dakota, it's not just Florida, it's not just Georgia. We're winning all over the place. I think overall the Second Amendment is moving forward. What do you think, man?
Yeah, agreed. Listen, we have to continue the fight, right? We know what's going on. We see still the skirmishes going on everywhere. But listen, we just picked up a battle in New Jersey, right? You know, and I know that's where we're leading for our next story. You know, here's how does the fight for the Second Amendment succeed in New Jersey? How about one seat at a time in the state house and the state senate? Much the way that they've just done it.
Yeah. Bring this one up. Edward Durr claims victory as New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeny concedes loss. Here's a guy that it was originally reported he spent $153 on his campaign. Now it turns out it was more like $3,000 that was spent on the campaign, whereas Sweeney spent nearly $1 million. The guy decides, look, the direction New Jersey is going is wrong. This is my district. I want to try and do something. He files. He spends a little bit of money, and he goes door to door and talks to people, and people like him and don't like where the state's going. And all of a sudden, he's no longer a truck driver. He's a state senator.
I got a feeling he's going to be the state truck driving state senator. I think he's still going to be doing both, to maintain that everyday guy thing. Because at least in my state, it's not a full-time job being a state senator. You still got to make your money somewhere else in your career. But this is great. Yeah, I know the original was that he spent $153, and if you heard his comments, he said, well, that's what I spent in April. It just goes to show you that New Jersey can't even keep its own record straight. Somebody went and pulled my first month rather than the last 10 months, of declaring candidacy. Let me throw this at you, which I heard the other day, Paul, and I don't know. What's his name? Cacciatrelli, the Republican gubernatorial candidate for governor there in New Jersey. They're finally declaring this past yesterday, that Murphy did win by 19,000 votes. I think it was over 2.5 million votes, or just about 2.5 million votes there, but it was 19,000 that made the difference. That's a tiny30% for that million. Now, Sweeny said as of last week he's going to fight this. It was 30. I think it was something like 31,000 to 33,000 votes. He lost by 2,000 votes out of 60,000.
Yeah, right? Let me put that up.
So he calls for
is Durr got 33,675. Sweeney got 31,473. So yeah,
so
1,500 votes. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
2,000. Yeah.
So just over 2,000 votes. So now, this is the argument I heard the other day. If Sweeney demands a recount, that also triggers the recount for Murphy and Ciatrelli. So Sweeny is told, you need to just, pack your bags and go home, because where we may have lost the state Senate seat or one state Senate seat, we could lose the governor's race over this. So we don't want any recounts, because we saw what happened there, Paul. We got to 10 o'clock at night and they went, oh, stop counting. We have to go home. And then the next morning, we found a carload of 20,000 ballots we forgot to count the other day. In fact, I believe that number was 22,000, which is ironic because he just won by 19,000 votes. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to the quote off this story that I love. Durr on Wednesday said the victory stemmed from voters upset with Governor Murphy's COVID-19 mask mandate in schools and the early pandemic lockdown. He said his secret to the win came down to two words: Bill Murphy. The voters are spoken, he said. They don't want government rule by a dangerous guy armed with a bunch of executive orders.
That's right.
Now, he doesn't, Durr does not get the presidency of the Senate. They had that's decided within the Senate itself.
Yes.
It's just that Sweeny is out on presidency.
Yeah, he's out. He's not in the Senate anymore. So they've lost the president's. He lost the president's seat individually. They've lost the seat in the Senate, his seat. Now somebody else will step up as the majority leader and become the Senate president. And now Durr slides in on the bottom as the junior Republican. Welcome to the state Senate.
Exactly. One more thing I want to from the story I want to quote. The Republican Senator-elect who works as a furniture store truck driver and whose victory over New Jersey's powerful Senate president made national headlines acknowledged Wednesday how formidable the new role will be for him, and he's focused on thwarting Murphy. Quote, "I feel like I'm about to throw up," Ed Durr said when he asked if there's a learning curve for him. "This is all new to me. It's overwhelming, but I'm very, very happy that the voters selected me. I'm going to earn that vote, and I'm going to prove them right." Man, we need more people with attitude like his.
Yeah, exactly right. And here's why I think he keeps that seat for a while, because, and why, Paul, I think he keeps the seat in the truck as well as a truck driver, because he's not a long haul guy. He delivers furniture. So guess what he's going to do every time he delivers furniture? "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm State Senator so-and-so. Here's your furniture."
Yes.
And he can have that conversation with how many people every day, all right?
New Jersey, go buy furniture. Absolutely. Have it delivered.
His boss is going to love it, because his boss is going to get calls for, "I want you to send him to deliver to us. Send him to deliver to us."
Oh, wow. Get a couple more comments in here, and then we're getting close to time to shut the show down. Charlie Chambers says, "Winning is a habit. Keep moving forward and keep winning." Let's see here. John Lieutenant says, Delaware Governor John Carney signed into law HB 124 and HB 125 on October 20th. Carney thanked Moms Demand Action for their aid in pushing for this legislation, citing them as a force. I'm going to go. He describes the two bills. He says 124 prohibits all individuals knowingly subject to a protection order, protection from abuse order for purchasing, owning, possessing, or controlling a deadly. Wait a minute. Let me.
I believe these were red flag and ghost guns, if I recall.
Okay, subject to a protection from abuse order. I'm hoping they're not saying if I've got a protective order against somebody, that doesn't mean that my Second Amendment rights go away.
No.
And ghost gun, yeah, 125 is a ghost gun. So, all right. And Robert says, "I hope Durr can get his CCW since Sweeny has one. They should take away Sweeney's now since he doesn't need it anymore. He's not Senate president. Why do you need a concealed carry permit in New Jersey if you're not state Senate president, Sweeny?"
Agreed, but we know how those work in New Jersey. Only certain friends get them, if you know what I mean.
All right. Well, let me ask, man, I got to see, how are things going on the rundown, Mike?
Listen, we're doing good. We just got our confirmation. Rundown will be joining Arms Room Radio up there on Radio Row and SHOT Show, so that's going to be good for us. That means double duty for me, but oh well, we'll make do. In fact, we had a little hiccup today. You had your internet error yesterday. We had it today, so our 5 o'clock Eastern Time PM show wasn't able to go. So what we got Craig doing is working on that now, and we'll be up at 7 o'clock Eastern time after the Daily Bullet's off the air.
Okay. So
just for today. So
in
today's
30
show,
minutes,
you'll see me in 30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
Go over to the rundown.us or the Rundown on Facebook.
Okay. Very cool. One more fast comment here, and Spartan 6 says, hopefully in Brandon's America, there is furniture to deliver. I don't think furniture needs microchips. It needs, at least a lot of it doesn't. So, I just hopefully everything continues well in the furniture arena.
They can put a microchip in my furniture if they want. They can always find it right under my butt. That's where the furniture will be. Front of the TV, under my butt.
All righty. Well, Mike, that we are down past the bottom of the hour. We've burned up 30 minutes very quickly, as we always do. Thanks for coming in today again, man.
Thank you, sir. And again, happy Veterans Day to every veteran out there.
Want to remind everybody, come join me again tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central Time, where it's going to be Amanda Suffolcool joining me. Alex Uli's taking the week off. He's out doing some motorcycle riding in Kentucky this week, and so rather than trying to get spotty internet connection, Amanda Suffolcool is going to jump in and join in. And then I also want to remind you, next week, Saturday, not day after tomorrow, but a week from day after tomorrow, we're going to be restarting doing the weekly bullet. Our first person to step in and help me out with a weekly bullet, he's already here. Mike Piwowarski is going to be coming and joining me on the, I've even forgotten the date.
I think that's the 20th.
It is. On the 20th, when we restart the Daily Bullet, that's going to be noon Central Time. And our interviewee that show is going to be Teresa Einacker from CNJFO. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and come join me tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody.